Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you to everyone for being here with us today. We are pleased to welcome you to join the Steel Connect webinar with the topic of Expert Insight on Roofing, materials comparative study of uPVC versus coated steel roofing performance criteria. Right, for architects, we appreciate very much if you can mute your mic during the session, and you can raise your question from time to time by post your question with your email address into the Q&A section. We'll try our best to answer your question at the end of this webinar. Otherwise, we will return an email to you to answer the question, right? And for architects and engineers who wish to collect your LAM or BM CPD point, please kindly stay through the entire webinar, as there will be a survey form required to be filled. So just stay with us on that. So before we start on the session of today, we're pleased to present you our new ColorPoint video. So Sasa, please.
Even when I was a child, there was always someone looking out for me. All she wanted was for me to have a happy life. No matter where I was, no matter who I became, she was always watching over me. So when the time came for me to step up, I was able to move forward, carry on, and face the world. Whenever life got stormy, I always knew deep in my heart that she will be there to keep me warm and safe. And today, I have someone that I want to protect. As I protect what matters most, I know she will too. ColorBond Steel, my silent protector for the last 30 years and always. Powered by Australian technology, proven in Malaysian weather.
Let's back to our webinar of today. So today we will focus will be on three main sections only. So at first, I will just bring everyone back to the basic in order to refresh the basic needs and the product durability of the roof and wall. How does it related to the design requirement? Then after that, we will do a simple comparison of the structural behavior and the performance in between uPVC and coated steel roof in terms of the basic needs for the basic requirement. Then lastly, we will do the compare of the uPVC and coated steel roof in terms of the durability requirement. And then by the end of this session, we will open the Q&A to answer the question from the floor. So it is not a lengthy knowledge sharing, but it consists quite a few information that might be worth to be taken away by you after this session, right? Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the first topic of today, which talk about the basic needs, durability, and the design requirement, right? So I think this is quite common scenario in our industry, right? So normally when in the pre-design stage, consultant like architect or engineer will meet up with the client, right, to understand their needs in the building design. So as shown in this slide, on the left-hand side is the client and the right-hand side are the professional consultant. So at first, the client will state the basic needs, right? Focus on the roof and wall in this case. The client may request the consultant to design the roof and wall to protect his people and asset from weather and risk. So this is the basic needs of the roof and wall of a building. As such, the consultant will put the request from the client as a design requirement. So they need to choose for the right roof and wall product that's capable to withstand loadings, no water leakage, and also hazard-free. Then after that, the client may spell out the durability needs too. So he may demand for the long-lasting roof and wall under the extreme environment, such as acidic environment or high corrosive environment, etc., etc. So again, it will be turned into the design requirement by the consultant. So they must source for the roof and wall that is made by the material that can withstand the extreme environment with a proven record. But however, most of the time, the client will not mention about the basic need because it's too basic, and he or she will assume that consultant will design the roof and wall accordingly by default. So consequently, the consultant will be focusing on the other needs from the client because the client stated clearly what they want. In this case, durability becomes the main focus of consultant in choosing the right product for the roof and wall design. However, what happens if we focus on a design which is heavily on the durability, but neglect to check on the product can achieve the basic needs or not, right? So you may get a product that is very, very durable, but it may not be able to serve for the basic needs. Like this picture, the client get a table that is very durable, but it may not serve the basic need because it's not stable for usage, right? So I hope my presentation until now is not too much in abstraction that make you think that, yes, I know what is basic needs and durability, but it seems like it doesn't relate to roof and wall design, right? But actually, if you think about in deep detail, actually it's related. Okay, the first thing we need to consider in the roof and wall design is to comply the basic needs, protect the people and the asset inside the building from the weather and the hazard-free. So for example, the roof and wall must be able to resist the wind load and is able to support the human traffic load for installation and maintenance purpose, and no water leakage in any circumstances, and it must be able to resist fire and toxic free. So in other words, if your source for a product is very, very durable, but it cannot perform the basic need as shown in this slide, the roof and wall may not serve the purpose because it will fail in the short term, right? So we understand about the basic need of roof and wall. Then now, how about the durability of a roof and wall on a building? So in terms of the durability, we are more focusing on the long-term performance of a product. For example, the long-lasting material to reduce the repairing work frequency, and it is able to capture the future trends such as solar panel system as well. So in the following session, I will share about the detailed information of the basic needs and the durability of the roof and wall by Compare, uPVC, and coated steel product. Before I start sharing about the comparison in between the uPVC and coated steel roof, I would like to highlight that actually all products will be having the good and bad in the characteristic. However, some products are suitable to be used in certain projects and some maybe not. So as such, in the following sharing session, I will be compare the uPVC and coated steel roof on a building that is require long length roof and closed environment and low tolerance in the water leakage. Okay, so all right, let's start with explore the differences in between uPVC and coated steel roof in achieving the basic needs. The following session, I will split the sharing session into a few subsections so that the audience can be more focused on that. Okay, the first subsection is a basic need of the roof in resist the wind load and support the human load. Okay, before I get into the two comparison, maybe let's come back to the basic again. So a long time before the coated steel roof had been invented and widely used in the market or the industry, most of the roof is made in clay tile, right? So which is as shown in the left-hand side in this slide. So what are the characteristics of the clay tile? Since there's no screw fixed on the tiles, you just laid on it piece by piece. This is very low in security because people can easily break in by just take out the clay tile. And nevertheless, it is heavy enough to resist the wind load. And it is also strong enough to support human load. However, close support spacing is needed for installation. For example, like you see this, the wooden baden here, we'll be talking about 200 to 300 spacing. And it is very labor intensive because the clay tile is very small piece. So the coverage per piece is very small. So which means there are two good characteristics and maybe three is not a good one, all right? So therefore, These criteria shall be the guidelines for the manufacturer or the inventor if they would like to introduce a new product for the roof in the market, right? Because we set a guideline that the roof must be in clay tile. The next product invented must be referred to that also, right? However, maybe just put you a question that have you ever thought that why the first steel roof introduced in the market, we did not follow the exact features like clay tile? Because this is made in, as you can think deep in that, the steel roof as we introduced is in the thin cage, right? And long length and screw fix. So why not we refer back to clay tile to design the steel roof, right? So the reason is different material will be having a different behavior. So just imagine if we just design the steel roof by molded out or ship it 100% like clay tile, it may not perform exactly like the same. For example, you may need a very thick steel to achieve the same stress capacity, which is not practical because it will be very, very heavy. And steel surface cannot achieve the same roughened surface as clay tile, right? So it will be sliding down easily also. So therefore, when the first steel roof is created, it is designed according to the material behavior. Our ancestor used the strong side of the steel to design a new roof product, such as the flexibility, the rigidity, and high strength. So as such, the steel roof is not only achieve the main characteristic as clay tile can do, but it can overcome the downside, the clay tile as well. For example, it will be higher security because it's screw fixed on the support and can also resist wind load and human load, and also strong enough to span longer, which means the support spacing can stretch longer. It's no longer 200 to 300. It can span to 1.2 or 1.5 meter. So it saves the cost of the support also. And in addition, the coverage of the steel roof is much bigger than clay tile, so it saves the labor cost as well. So in short, when we design a new product, the new roof product with the new material, we might not just copy the shape of the existing product and then change it to other product because the structural performance will be different. So what does it mean? I will explain in subsequent slide. Right. So material behavior will determine the structural performance. So refer to the stress strain graph as shown in this slide. This is the general graph to show the natural reaction of the metal and plastic in terms of the elongation when stress is acting on it. So of course, the graph might be different if we drill into the detail to explore what kind of metal or what kind of plastic we use for comparison. However, the graph pattern should be more or less the same. So by nature of itself, you are not able to turn any plastic material to perform exactly like metal, right? So what are the behavior differences in between metal and plastic? So refer to this graph. The metal is having the higher elastic zone compared to the plastic. So when the metal is within the elastic zone, plastic already get into the plastic zone. So as such, metal is more flexible in resisting the loading. So what's the differences and how does it relate to roof, right? So okay, let's put it into a very simple example here, as shown in the right-hand side. Say we are having a two roof product made by a different material and both of them made in the same thickness, correct? The first one is made in steel and we will apply the uplift loading on it. As long as the loading within the elastic zone, the product shall be able to back to the original shape when the loading is disappeared. Whereas if the same uplift loading applied on the uPVC, which is in plastic material, it is made in the same thickness as steel, the product may be deformed and not able to back to the original shape. Therefore, steel is better in uPVC in resisting loading in thin cage. The flexibility of steel in thin cage and the thin thickness is very important when resist the wind load, especially in screw fix product. In the screw fix product. Okay, so I will share in more detail in the subsequent section how the uPVC to enhance performance and support the loading. Okay, so when uPVC is shaped exactly like steel roof profile, thin gauge cannot be used because it may getting into a plastic zone very quickly, right? So in order to enhance the structural performance, the uPVC roof must be formed into the thick section. So therefore, normally when you see the uPVC roof, the thickness is ranged from 1.5 to 3 mm, which is about 3.5 to 7 times thicker than our coated steel. And then the thicker the material will increase the stiffness. This is the nature of the section by itself. This is the principle of section design, right? And as such, it can resist a higher load after it have been thickened. So there are players in the market to prove the structural performance by using the forklift to roll over the uPVC and coated steel sheet. In the result, uPVC does not perform. Did not deform, but the coated steel is deformed badly. So in that so-called amateur testing, so it doesn't mean that uPVC is stronger than coated steel. So I would say that the answer is yes, if it is used as a structural product. So that need the stiff section to support the loading. And also explain that why uPVC is widely used for window and door frame, because it is rigid and strong enough to maintain the shape and support the minor loading. However, we cannot use a rigid product for long length roof because we need the flexibility to resist the wind load unless it is super rigid like clay tile in short length. So when the stiff section is used and also absent of the plastic sizer, it may become very brittle. So it will be less flexible in resist the wind uplift load. So, and consequently, it may cause a localized damage, especially at the screw fix area. So please kindly note that the only way to secure uPVC roof is by the screw fix. So let's compare the screw fix uPVC and coated steel roof. When the screw fix coated roof and the wind load is coming and then disappear, the steel may be flexible enough to back to the original shape, but the uPVC might not be able to do the same, because if the stiff product is in use, the material may not flexible enough to resist the wind load that is coming on and off. So in the worst case, when wind load is higher, the material may be broken straight away. So I will show you the example in the subsequent slide. Right. So some of you maybe think that, yes, I understand there will be a localized damage and it is not big deal, right? As long as I pray hard that there will be no severe water leakage at the area we do, right? So as I mentioned earlier, the only way to secure uPVC roof is by screw fix. So if there is any local damage on the screw fix area, it may be directly affect the loading support performance. As such, it may be feel in the resist wind load and also maybe feel in supporting the human load during the installation, during the maintenance. Although it might not be happen in short period of time. So in other words, you will see your uPVC roof perform rightly and goodly right after it is installed, right? It might perform okay for short term. However, how long it will be last is still questionable. It's because we were not able to find out the local damages unless you go through a thorough inspection very frequently. However, just to be very frankly, is how many building owners will do the frequently inspection on the roof by itself. So consequently, you will only see the roof will fail when the worst case happen, which is the roofing sheet is either fly away or broken when it support the gravity load. By then, it might be too late because the damage or the asset or the people get injured or maybe fatality already happened, right? All right, next is let's take a look at the water leakage risk in between the uPVC and coated steel. As I mentioned earlier, coated steel roof that was designed with the linkage with a certain profile is based on the logic on how the profile work well with the material behavior in resisting the wind load. So please see the video on the top left in this slide. So our roofing will react up and down, when the window is coming in, you will going up, and then the window going away, we will back to the original shape. So it's type of the so-called happen on and off frequently on the roof. So please can note that we are not talking about the cyclonic wind load yet. We are talking about the static wind load. So this is what happened on the static wind load. This scenario is when the wind loads happen on roof and the load is not high enough to fill the roof. So as such, the load is when the load is disappear, the roofing sheet should be back to the original sheet without any damage. So we call it as a serviceability stage. So therefore, the flexibility of the roof is very, very important because it is to ensure the roofing sheet will not be damaged in the serviceability stage. However, how important the roof can perform in the serviceability stage, right? Let me just explain it. The serviceability stage is to ensure your roof is able back to the shape after the wind load is gone and no local damage at all. Coated steel roof, which is the steel roof, can 100% assure that it can perform accordingly because it provides the flexibility to react according to the wind up and down, up and down. So, however, since uPVC is rigid and absent of plasticizer, the risk of the local damage is higher. So whether or not it can be flexible enough to resist the wind load without damage, it is still questionable. So consequently, the local damage may be lead to the water leakage during raining. And the next factor may be cause the water leakage is due to the thermal movement, or generally we call it as a thermal expansion. So thermal expansion happen on all kinds of materials. It can be calculated based on the formula as highlighted in blue box here, right? So refer to this formula, the longer the material, the higher expansion will be, or when there is a drastic change in the temperature, especially the certain increase in the thermal, the higher the thermal movement will happen also. So in addition, also the higher the linear expansion coefficient of the material itself, the higher the thermal movement will be also happen. Okay. So let's say we have two identical buildings put under the sun, and both of the building with same roof length. Okay. So the thermal movement of the roofing sheet will be rely on what? It will rely on the expansion coefficient of the material itself. So different material will be having a different coefficient. So let's take a look at the coefficient of the coated steel and uPVC. So in steel, the linear movement coefficient is talking about 12 times 10 power negative for 6 per degree Celsius. But if you take a look of the uPVC, is 60 times 10 power negative in power 6 in per degree Celsius. So what does it mean in this number? All right. So it means that if you put the coated steel roof and uPVC roof with the same length under the same sun, all right, because you only have one sun, so the uPVC roof will be moving 5 times longer than the steel. So what does it mean by 5 times longer than steel, and what is the consequence of that? Okay, the first scenario when you move the movement is too high on the roof because it's exposed to the sun and you have a bigger movement. The first scenario is the roofing sheet will be filled at the shear at the screw fix area because the roofing sheet may be drastically moved due to the thermal. Right. As such, you may see some maybe happen some water leakage during the raining because the drilling hole at the screw area have been enlarged due to the movement. So which means that you just imagine that the roof is slide away, but the support stays still, right? So the screw may be tear off and making a bigger hole at the particular area. And then the second scenario is happen if the shear off and the movement at the screw area, which is shown in scenario 1, is still not enough to free up the roofing sheet for total movement. As such, the roofing sheet will be moving in between the support and then pucker up, deform the side lap area as shown in this photo. It may be lead to the even more severe water leakage because the side lap already opened up. So eventually it may be lead to the severe water leakage. All right, the last factor that may lead to the water leakage, which is a fixing method. So I think for those who serve in our industry long enough, you should know that there are two main types of the fixing methods of the roofing sheet, which is the screw fix and conceal fix, right? So for screw fix product, as shown in the left-hand side, upon installation, you will see all the screw head exposed on the surface. And this is the first installation method that was introduced when steel roof were invented. And it is a very traditional method in fixing the roof, all right? Whereas the conceal fix, which is shown in the right-hand side here, after installation, there's no screw fix exposed, which is shown in this photo here. It is so-called the newly method exists in the market, although it's not newer, although this is so-called newer than the screw fix method, but it's already introduced in the market about 30 or 40 years, right? For those senior who work in the industry long enough, I think you should aware that once the coated steel roof have been introduced in the industry, we started with the screw fix product. Then after that, we gradually improve our product performance innovatively by introduce a conceal fix product to the market. So of course, aesthetic is one of the reasons why conceal fix product is introduced. However, the main reason of it transforming from screw fix product to conceal fix product is to reduce the risk of water leakage. Because the more holes you create on the surface will keep the high risk for the water seepage. So why say so? Let's take a look at the subsequent slide. Okay, for screw fix roof is everybody should very common understand that this is a very economic product, and a lot of people when doing the budget project, this is the most welcome product to be used in the particular project because it's very economic. The reason is because the fixing method is very simple and also no accessory are needed. So we just need to drill the screw through the roofing sheet and then engage it onto the support we do. So it sounds very easy, right? But the skill of worker who do the work is very important. They must be skillful enough to engage 100 or 1,000 of screw on the roof with correctly driven, which is as shown in this graphic. Okay, this is so-called correctly driven. So when the screw is correctly driven, it will seal the water passage and prevent the water leakage. The disadvantage of using the screw fix roof is if the worker is not skillful enough, they might underdriven or overdriven the screw, and I will show what happened later. Okay, so if the worker is underdriven the screw, the rubber seal is not able to close the water passage, which is the drill hole, which is shown here. Okay, as such, the water may be seeped through the hole and lead to the water leakage during raining. So while if the worker is overdriven the screw, the rubber seal is be damaged and the roofing sheet may be dented. So the water will pond at the dented area and seep through the opening. Okay. So therefore, in order to provide the better water tightness on roof, coated steel provide more option in the product selection. Building owner or the designer can choose for the economic product, which is screw fix product, but installation must be handled by skilled worker. Otherwise, you also can opt for the conceal fix product that can provide a better water seal compared to the screw fix product. Then ultimately, owner or designer, you can select the standing seam product, which is more reliable product in sealing the water passage. And due to the material limitation, the only way to fix the uPVC is by the screw fix, because uPVC is not flexible for the clip fixing, and also it's too rigid, it cannot be seamed also. Consequently, you only can rely on the rubber seal on the screw to seal up the water passage. All right, let's see how about the difference of the coated steel and uPVC in the fire resistance. Okay, to be very open and to be very frank, I'm not a fire specialist, but I just can share the general knowledge about the fire, right? Generally, when the fire is started, it can be easily spread locally in 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And during this period, the fire is not spread widely, means that it is not spread to other space of the building. The temperature is around 100 to 400 degrees Celsius, all right? Then after that, on the 4 minutes onward, the fire may be flashed over to other space of the building. The flame will be shoot out from the windows, doors, and any opening at this stage. The temperature at this moment is talking about 600 to 800 degrees Celsius. Then on 5 minutes onwards, the fire should be already spread through the whole building, and the building is started decay, means that once the temperature is up to a certain level to fill the structural components, the building will be collapsing if the fire is continued, and the temperature at this stage is talking about 1,000 to 1,002 degrees Celsius. As such, so what is the ideal escape time for residents if the fire is out of control? Right, according to a few references, such as the Red Cross International or Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, we are recommended that we have to do the excavation within 2 to 2.5 minutes. So, which is before the fire flash over. Therefore, the escape shall be done at the first stage, which is at the fire, which is before the fire flash over. As such, what's the difference of coated steel and uPVC during the fire? Okay, before we talk about the performance of the fire resistance of coated steel roof and uPVC roof, maybe let's explore what is a softening point and melting point of these two materials. So when talk about softening point means that the material will be softened at certain temperature and it can shape into any profile that you want. And the melting point is when certain temperature is achieved, the material is started to be liquidized. All right. So refer to this table. The softening point of coated steel is around 500 to 540 degrees Celsius. And the melting point is talking about 1002 to 1004 degrees Celsius. Whereas uPVC softening point is around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, and melting point is about 150 to 220 degrees Celsius. So uPVC is easily softened and melt at a low temperature compared to coated steel because it is 10 times lower capacity in resisting the heat. So let's say when there are two identical buildings encounter the same fire incidents, when the fire is started to spread locally during the stage 1, the temperature is raised up to 100 to 400 degrees Celsius. The coated steel roof, which is as shown in the left-hand side, will be intact onto the support and in place perfectly because the melting point is very high. It gives sufficient time to the residents evacuate from the fire scenes. However, the softening point and melting point of uPVC is low, so the material may be starting decay in the first 30 seconds to 3 minutes. It may be melt and fall onto the people during the excavating. Eventually, the golden time may be lost. Okay, so when come to here, maybe some of you will think that well, there's a good theory to talking about the material melting point and softening point, right? So as long as the product comply to law and the supplier can provide with the evidence of the compliance, that means the product is still valid to be used and it should be safe, right? So I would say, yes, all the building product must go through a testing to prove the performance. However, the testing certificate or the report is only the proof or the product has been tested. It doesn't mean that it passed or complied to the law or design requirement. We must go through the test report and certificate thoroughly to ensure to use the correct product or use a product correctly. So in the following session, I will be going through the detail about the fire requirement by law and how to read the test report. Okay, let's take into the requirement of the Uniform Building Bylaws. We will call it or UBBL 1984. Now we have the version 2022 to check what is the requirement for wall, ceiling, and roof. Okay, refer to the UBBL clause 204. The classification of the restriction of flame over surface on walls or ceiling must be categorized as a class O material, means the surface has no flame spray at all, right? Whereas if you refer to UBBL clause 211, the roofing material is specified does not lower than class 1 category, except the building type 1 and 3 as stated in fifth schedule. And refer to the fifth schedule is saying that the building type 1 is a small residential houses, and building type 3 is other residential building like a hotel, dormitory, apartment, orphan house, oval house, or service apartment. You can refer to the UBBL fifth schedule to double check on it. So let's explore the requirement from these two clauses in magnifier detail now. Okay. Right, here is the detail of the UBBL 1984 clause 204. So refer to the statement of the clause 204. The requirement of class O material can be split into two main areas here. All right. The A1, Roman 1, is stated that the wall or the ceiling must be made by material that is non-combustible, which means it must pass the test of the 476 part 4. All right. So, but otherwise, it gives us another option because we have another option is saying that or otherwise the wall or ceiling must pass the 476 part 6 and 7 as stated in A Roman 2. So the wall and ceiling by single skin itself or with substrate must pass the test with a performance index less than 6. All right, so this is the requirement as stated in clause 204. So how do we know that the product comply to the clause 204? Okay, let's take a look at the example in the subsequent slide. Okay, here is the example of the test report of the product that gone through the test 476 part 6, and it is called the steel product. I think most of the audience should be quite familiar with the test report because it is normally submitted by the contractor or supplier for the product approval, right? And I think most of you should be aware that the test report will not tell you that this product is passed or fail in comply to uPBL. It will be just stated the test result. The reader should have enough knowledge to read the report and judge whether the product can be used legally by law or not. So in case some of you are maybe not familiar with this kind of report, I will just share about how to read it and how should we so-called be aware of certain information as provided in the report, correct? So at first, we need to ensure that you receive the right report by application. If you intend to use the product for building cladding, please ensure you receive the report with the product description is tally with the application. For example, the product description in this example is stated that pre-painted sheet metal products for interior exterior building application. So it means that the product, it can use for the cladding and it can be used for internal or external application. So after we ensure the product is right with the application, we must ensure the product is tested, either is a single skin or with substrate. Why I say so? Because you remember the previous slide I mentioned that the clause is allowed you to test the material either by itself or itself with the substrate. It's a combination with other material, right? All right, so it can ensure that by check on the description of the test specimen, please kindly be highlighted the specimen that is tested has been 100% duplicate on site. So for example, if the specimen tested with single skin, it can be used on site by itself. So whereas if the specimen tests together with substrate, it must combine with the substrate when it is used on site. So refer to this example, the description of the test specimen is just stated one type of material was used for testing without any other substrate. So as such, this product can be used on site without substrate and it can resist the propagation of fire. Right, so this is how we're going to read it. So please ensure that the testing specimen either is one single skin or with another substrate is laminated together for testing. So then the last and the most important information to tell us whether the product passed uPBL 1984 clause 204 or not, which is the test result. So normally when you receive the BS 476 Part 6 test report, you will see a small table below the page 1, which is here, all right? It stated that the sub-index I1 to I3, and then the last column as stated the fire propagation index, which is the capital I, all right? The fire propagation index is the performance index as mentioned in uPBL clause 204, A Roman 2. So according to the law, the performance of the index must be lower than 6. So in this example, it's 2.5, so it passed the requirement by law. So in short, coated steel product can 100% assure that it's complied to uPBL and it passed the 476 Part 6, right, without any substrate. Right, now let's take a look how about uPVC. So before we start to explore the fire propagation resistance of uPVC, let us understand how BS 476 Part 6 should be carrying out. So refer to the table 1 extracted from BS 476 Part 6. The tester or the people who carry out the test normally will record the temperature of in 3 minutes, 10 minutes, and 20 minutes by ignite the fire. Then the maximum temperature in the chamber in each different time shall be achieved as shown in the right column in this table, right? So as you can see in this table, the temperature will be increased according to time, and the maximum temperature is estimated 260 degrees Celsius. So when you have a uPVC material that will be in a low melting point, so how it gone through the testing by this part 6. All right. So actually, there's a way to do it. This is just a suggestion or the proposal or how uPVC can pass through the test. One of the ways is get the test done is added the substrate, such as the cement board, so that it can slow down the heat transfer to the uPVC. So it will still remain the same sheet without deform or melt during the test. However, please kindly bear in mind that if uPVC was tested together with substrate, it must be bonded together with the substrate in the insulation on site too. So in short, uPVC cannot be used by itself without the substrate by law if it has been tested as mentioned. All right, so this is just to highlight that if the material is doing this way, then on site you have to do it accordingly. So refer to my explanation in the previous slide. The uPVC product should be valid to be used by law as long as installation on site is done according to the testing. So this is the way, right? So for example, if uPVC is tested by bonded with cement board, so as long as the uPVC is installed with cement board on site, so is to combine to uPBL? I would say yes, but there's one more step to ensure the product pass the uPBL. So remember, as I mentioned, that the test report will not tell you whether or not the product complies to uPBL requirement. If you still recall how to read the test report on BS 476 Part 6 that I shared with you in the previous section, the most important information for us to judge whether the product passed uPBL requirement is to study the test result displayed in the table at the bottom of the test report in the page 1. So as I mentioned before, according to uPBL clause 204, the product must be either pass BS 476 Part 4 or it must pass 476 Part 6 with the performance index less than 6. So let's put an example. As shown in the table in this slide, if the performance index is 12.2, it means it's already filled the uPBL requirement. And this product is not classified as class O, even though the uPVC combined with substrate. So this is how we rate the report according to the table. All right, now let's take a look on the spread of frame classification requirement of roof under the uPBL. So refer to the uPBL 1984 clause 211. It stated that the roof material cannot be less than class 1 in the spread of frame. But what is class 1, right? So refer to uPBL clause 204. Class 1 defined as the material that is at least spread of frame to be more specified in the fire happen onto the surface of class 1 material. The spread of frame shall be less than 150 mm in a minute. Right, so this is what defined is clause 211 and in the classification of class 1. So I would like to highlight that most of the people in the industry maybe mix up the classification of spread of frame in between uPBL and BS 476 Part 7. So by right, you should refer to the classification requirement according to uPBL. But most of the time, the industry player may be mixed up to assume that the classification of BS 476 Part 7 is same as uPBL. But actually, the classification is not the same for both of it. Both of it's not standard. There's one uPBL, the other one is getting standard. So as such, please allow me to share about how to read the test report of BS 476 Part 7 and how to judge the product plus uPBL in terms of classification of split of flame in the following session. Right, this is the test report example of the BS 476 Part 7, and this is the coated steel product. So at first, similar to what we have went through just now, we need to ensure the application is correct. In this example, the product description is stated that pre-painted steel, pre-painted sheet metal product for interior and or exterior building application. So it also means that it can use for cladding for interior or exterior application. And then secondly, once again, we need to check whether the product is tested with or without substrate. In this example, the coated steel was tested with single skin without any substrate, so it can be used by itself on site. Okay, now, just now we go through the general information checking, right? So now let's go to the most crucial part. So normally you will see the sentence of classification of surface plate of frame test. and it stated the class of the split of flame according to BS 476 part 7. So in this case, the test result is class 1. Please do not assume that the product complies to uPBL when you see class 1 on the first page. The definition of the class 1 in uPBL and BS 476 part 7 is different. So refer to the table 2 classification of split of flame, extract from BS 476 part 7. The class 1 passing criteria is when the split of flame is felt in between 165 mm to 190 mm, which is highlighted in the blue box. All right. So, however, the passing criteria from uPBL in the split of flame must be less than 150 mm in a minute. So, how are we going to know that the product passed uPBL class 1 criteria or not? By refer to the test report. You should flip the report to page 3. And now, okay, and check on the detailed test result. It will state the number of tests and how much the flame is spread in 1.5 minutes. So you should ensure none of the test result in the total 6 tests show in the split of flame at 1.5 minutes more than 150 mm. So in this case, you will see all 0 in the test result in this report because coated steel will not split the flame at all and classify class O in uPBL, which means coated steel is not only past the uPBL class 1 requirement, but is higher than that. If you intend to use uPVC roof, you may need to check on the detailed result on the table you show in the page 3 to assure it complies with uPBL requirement. In case you see the test result as shown in this example, you may need to clarify with your supplier is their product truly comply to uPBL requirement or not. As you can see, all the 6 results in the table pass the class 1 requirement in BS 476 part 7 because it's lower than 165 mm split of flame, right? However, it may not comply to 150 mm requirement from uPBL as stated in clause 211 or subclause 204 to specify the class 1 material. So as such, if uPVC with substrate may comply to BS 476 part 7 requirement, but it may not able to comply to uPBL, so you maybe need to double check with your supplier if you intend to use uPVC roof. And this is the last section of the explore of the basic need of the roof, which is a toxic free. And this is quite related to fire performance of the material. So it's arranged right after we talk about the fire resistance of the coated steel and uPVC. During the fire, the emission of the toxic film is very dangerous because it may not only hazardous to the people who are doing the evacuation, but it may be also pollute the air and harm the people who are nearby to the fire scenes. Coated steel will not release the toxic films during fire because it's formed by iron and carbon. However, uPVC is formed in polymer. In almost 60% of it is PVC resins. So when it is in combustion, it may release 2 main toxic chemical content, which is chlorine and dioxin. So chlorine is released when the decomposition happens, and dioxin is a form of byproduct when incomplete burning is happened. So both are toxic films that will harm the human body. And how do it harm us? All right. When you accidentally breathe in the chlorine, you may cause airway obstruction, chest tightness, and in long term may cause the lung disease. All right. If unfortunately you are not only breathing the chlorine, you also breathe in the dioxin too, you may encounter long-term side effect on your body, which is reproductive problem, damaged immune system, interfere in the hormones that may create disease like diabetes, heart disease, or other health problem. In the worst case, it may lead you to get cancer. So as such, if you intend to use uPVC product, please kindly check with your supplier how their product tackling with this release of the toxic films with the valid testing proven record. All right. All right. Now let's come to the third main section of today, which is also the last section, which is explore about the durability performance in between uPVC and coated steel. So to refresh your memory, in the beginning of this session, we promised to share about the basic needs and the long-term performance of uPVC and coated steel roof. We already done the sharing of the necessary of the basic needs. So we will share about the longevity performance of the product, the roof product. So I'll break into 2 more sections again so that you can more focus on the content. Right, let's start with the first section, the long-lasting material to reduce the repairing frequency. So generally, as a user, we normally intend to choose the durable product that can be last longer, right? Because it reduces our headache in repairing it. So let's explore how the uPVC and coated steel deal with the longevity, especially when the material exposed to the weather. Right, in principle, material properties or the material behavior is not able to be modified unless it is made by or integrate with a special technology that can be mitigate the downside of the performance of a certain area of the material itself, all right? For example, we cannot turn uPVC to behave exactly same as coated steel, or in the reverse, we cannot turn coated steel acting like uPVC also. So uPVC comprised of polymer, and even the paint on top of it is polymer is a fact that cannot be changed. So what happens if polymer exposed to the sunlight? Polymer is easily affected by the UV radiation from sunlight. So when it is exposed to the UV ray too long, the photooxidative degradation may be happen, which means that the polymer chain may be breaking gradually from time to time when polymer exposed to the sunlight continuously. Eventually, it makes the material become brittle. So maybe some maybe say that this might be easily happen on PVC only, but not for uPVC, because uPVC is more durable compared to PVC. However, it might come to the basic question that how long we're going to prove the durability in the aspect of polymer against the UV radiation. So in other words, we know uPVC might be more durable compared to PVC, but how long the uPVC actually can last when exposed to the sunlight continuously? 1 year, 2 years, or how long? We might not be having the answer unless it's proven with the test record or the past project reference. Here are some examples that when the photooxidative degradation happen on uPVC roof. The photo as shown on the left-hand side is about the material maybe become brittle after you expose to the UV radiation. So what happened to that is it may be easily cracked due to the thermal movement or weak in resisting the loading, especially in the impact load. So for example, it may be cause the local damages when people walk on it or something just fall on a certain height. So although the product may not collapse totally or fill in totally, but it may be lead to the water leakage. And whereas the example as shown in the right-hand side is the discoloration may be happen unevenly due to the paint use is not specifically designed to resist the UV ray. As such, you will see the different color tone on the same roof. So as I mentioned earlier, the maintenance or the repairing work is a nightmare as a building owner. If you encounter this kind of situation on your roof, you may not be able to resolve the issue by one time or remedial work unless you change the whole roof. So okay, let's take a look at the pre-painted metallic coated steel. Steel is formed by iron and carbon, which can stay a stable material. The base material will not affect by the UV sunlight, so the mechanical performance is 100% guaranteed, even though exposed to sunlight continuously. So on top of that, the base steel will be going through the hot dip galvanized process. In this case, the aluminum zinc alloy layers will be coated on top and bottom of the base steel to protect it from corrosion. When the process is complete, we call this product as a metallic coated steel. Then after that, we will put on the color on top and bottom of the metallic coated steel to provide the option of the design, and it become also the secondary protection of the base steel also. Since the paint is polymer and it is easily degraded by UV radiation, so the paint must be designed with durable technology, and even the primer play the important role too. When the metallic coated steel is painted, we call it as a pre-painted metallic coated steel. So as I mentioned earlier, we needed to be careful on the paint design, and also so that it can provide a superior coating system, and then the primer technology and color retention technology protect the paint from deteriorate fast. So when the metallic coated steel roof with the superior paint technology is in use, the performance of anti-corrosion and anti-color fading is almost guaranteed, because the longevity of the product due to the long-term performance is tested and even proven with the track record. For example, the project as shown in the top in this slide, the ferry terminal is located at the right beside the seashore. and the color of the coated steel roof has been retained without discoloration after it's served for 18 years, which is one of the generation of a family. Right. In addition, the aquarium world, as shown at the bottom in this slide, is at Langkawi. The roof and the walls served for 15 years without any sign of corrosion, even though it's located near to the sea. Okay. All right, let's come to the last subsection, which is about the capturing the new trend. So I think most of the audience should agree that sustainable solution or go green is coming to the new trend in our industry. So choose for the right product for your roofing design is really important if you intend to achieve the ESG goal. So I think most of the audience should be aware of the Kita and Kite tax incentive scheme from MITA and running by the Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, MGTC. So this is a scheme from the government to encourage us to go for the solar panel system in order to reduce the use of the conventional power. This scheme should be expired by end of 2023, but it has been extended to 2025 according to the latest budget 23. So as such, the building owner may go for solar panel system aggressively in coming 2 years, all right? So building owner or your client may be accelerating the solar panel installation onto the rooftop or on their new project sooner as possible so that they can achieve the ESG goal and also can catch the tax incentive scheme before it expires, right? So however, before the building owner or your client think of the install of solar panel system, I think we should take a step back and ask ourselves that are we choose the right roofing product for solar panel installation? Otherwise, it may create water leakage before you enjoy the green energy, right? So if you can still recall that I shared about the option of the roofing in between uPVC and coated steel in previous section, right? So uPVC is not only having one choice of fixing method, which is a screw fix method. Whenever the roof is secure with screw fix method, the client, they only can use a screw fix bracket for the solar panel installation, which is as shown in this photo. Let's do photo on okay, which is as shown here. Okay. So what is the consequence of using screw fix bracket for solar panel installation? So we all should be aware that when there is more penetration on roof, it creates higher possibility of water leakage, right? So you just imagine you already used more than 1,000 screw penetrate through your roof to secure your roofing sheet onto the support. And now you have to add another few thousand screw onto your roof to install the brackets for the solar panel installation. So in other words, you just raise the possibility of water leakage getting higher and higher. So whereas coated steel product is giving more option in conceal fixed roof. So by using the conceal fixed product, the on-shelf clamp can be used for solar panel installation. The bracket is just clamp on the ribs without any penetration. So the water leakage risk is reduced drastically, right? In short, in order to choose for the right roofing product for your building design that require long length roof, enclosed space, and low tolerance in water leakage, you are suggested to focus on 6 main criteria as shown. The first one is a product that is made by the right material that can perform rightly in resist wind load, specifically for wind load and also the gravity load from human. Second is your product should be able to avoid water leakage. And then the product, I think, should be passed the UVBL in fire resistant, and it must be toxic free. And most importantly, the product shall be made by the material that is long lasting with proven record. And lastly, your roof shall be able to help you capture with the new trends such as solar panel installation. Right? Right, that's all for my sharing session today. I hope you enjoyed it. So let me start to answer the question that have been posed in Q&A chat box. Just see what have been posted. In the chat, right? Q&A box. Okay, just close it first. All right, so let's take a look. Which is the latest? Okay, this is latest. Okay. The first, I think, is question from SR Ng is talking about your comparison only on the flat plastic sheet, not a apple to apple comparison. You should compare and comment on our profile uPVC sheets versus the profile steel decking. I think we are not just compare the plastic sheet because, for example, the wind loading resistance, it really depends on the profile. It's not based on the flat sheet. So I can share in more detail with you, Mr. Ng, if you intend to know the performance of the corrugated product in between the uPVC and steel decking. All right. So okay, let's talk about, okay, this one I think for James is quite fair enough because some of the photo I shown is FRP roof. Agree on that because limited photo in our library talking about the uPVC. I think you are mentioning about the beginning talking about the breaking of the FRP roof. But that one is just to show that when you have a problem on the connection, you may be free in loading. It's not only for wind load, maybe on the gravity load from the human also. All right. Then market already have a profile uPVC sheet, which is also similar to fixing, like standing seam and also keep lock tie, which reduce the water tightness. What's your comment? Yes, if you I think it's not really that common now because seaming you really need to seam the material together. So I just assume that the standing seam that you mentioned may not be bending the material. Maybe you use other method like heating up to seal it together. I'm not sure. But that one, the heating up of the material maybe also deform the profile itself. I'm not really sure about that. If you can share more, I can just try to take a look on that. But keep lock tight, I really concerned on that because it really depends on the opening of the clips. So if you really can engage it into the steel clip, then I'm just wondering how the steel clip perform together with the uPVC. Because I'm just wondering that you may not able to use a uPVC clip together with uPVC clip lock. You maybe use a steel clip together with uPVC, so then maybe have a problem on, they may be breaking up the uPVC material. So this is my thought. And for Mr. Yusuf talking about, is it true that the cost is cheaper compared to the metal? So this one I have no comment because it really depends on how you look at it. As I mentioned earlier, if uPVC have to come together with substrate or come to other material, maybe the price also is not in the single skin price. So I can't really give you the answer now. Okay, so next is talking about life cycling or comparison in between profile decking and the steel decking. I'm not sure about what is the life cycle comparison. If you're talking about the material itself, I think both material, I'm not sure about uPVC, whether it can be recyclable. I'm not sure it's recyclable. So sorry, I'm not really sure about this question. The cost still, I can't really give you the answer now because they may be performed differently because like I mentioned, the steel can be one layer and also combine other build up. But uPVC by itself, maybe you have to come with other substrate and also with other build up system. Warranty for uPVC, I think that one I can't really give you the answer because we are not really in that supply on the materials. Comparison corrosive. How about comparison in regard to corrosive area inside of building, such as fertilizer and metals melting process? Okay, so if you're talking about alkaline and acidic corrosive environment, so still back to the original comparison. Of course, that with the coated steel product, there might have some downside in dealing this kind of material, but it's also depending on how you working with the designer to come out the detailing of the build system by itself. Because if you're talking about just by single skin by itself, I still also wondering that how uPVC can last for this kind of acidic and alkaline environment. It's not only by the material itself, it's also by the coating of the painting and also by the polymer itself. Because as I mentioned earlier, polymer by itself, if you're exposed to the sunlight, you really need to go through a very thorough checking and testing to see how the reaction of it. If you really not really put in exposed to the UV radiation, or maybe the melting point will be deformed. So it still come back to that. If you really last longer, then still, so it doesn't really serve the basic needs, right? Okay, so I think, sorry, I think a bit overrun. So I maybe take the last question now. Are there many trained installer in Malaysia for roof sheet to follow approved method of installation? Trained installer, I think there's quite a lot of roofer is quite familiar with the coated steel roofing sheet installation. So of course we have a so-called the new product event. We also will so-called come out the installation method and also give some training to the installer. But basically at this moment, all the installer in the market or the roofer in the market is quite familiar with the steel roof and they know how to install it. So unless that if you have some new product is invented or used in the market, I think Suresh, you are right. The roofer or the installer must be trained. They cannot just saying that, oh, steel roof, whatever how you install steel roof, you just do it for other material or other product. All right. So I think that's it for today. So let me just go to a closing here. Okay, so for those questions that have not been answered, we try to get back to you because I think your name is there. We can just link back to your email address and get back to you. All right. For those who require LAM or BMCPD, please kindly input your membership number into the survey by scanning the QR code that they will be posting by my colleague very soon. And optionally, you may access via the link provided in the Q&A chat box. All right. So Sasa, please. Thank you.
Even when I was a child, there was always someone looking out for me. All she wanted was for me to have a happy life. No matter where I was, no matter who I became. She was always watching over me. So when the time came for me to step up, I was able to move forward, carry on, and face the world. Whenever life got stormy, I always knew deep in my heart that she will be there to keep me warm and safe. And today, I have someone that I want to protect. As I protect what matters most, I know she will too. Colorbond Steel, my silent protector for the last 30 years and always. Powered by Australian technology, proven in Malaysian weather.